Hi everybody, welcome to WikiLeak-a-Day, the WikiLeak-a-Day Show for December 20th. I'm your host George Donnelly, and let's jump right to the leaks. Today's first leak is 07TELAVIV2652. That's the reference ID, and with that you can identify the cable and anybody else who's talking about it online. This cable's from 2007. It was released just yesterday. It's from the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, Israel, to Secretary of State in Washington. This is classified secret. This cable is about an Undersecretary of State meeting with Israeli Mossad, and frankly I find it interesting. They are plotting how to put pressure on Iran, among other things. Here's the summary. In an August 17th meeting, Israeli Mossad Chief Meir Dagan thanked Undersecretary Burns for America's support of Israel as evidenced by the previous day's signing of an MOU that provides Israel with $30 billion in US dollars of security assistance from 2008 to 2018. Dagan provided his assessment of the Middle East region, Pakistan, and Turkey, stressing Israel's concern for President Musharraf's well-being, that's President of Pakistan at the time, view that Iran can be forced to change its behavior, and the sense that Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon are unstable with unclear futures ahead of them. Dagan probed for more detail about XXX, U.S. military assistance to the Gulf states, and while signaling agreement with the U.S. approach to the Gulf states vis-a-vis Iran, cautioned that they may not be able to absorb significant military assistance. Dagan reviewed Israel's five-pillar strategy concerning Iran's nuclear program, stressed that Iran is economically vulnerable, and pressed for more activity with Iran's minority groups aimed at regime change. So here is an Undersecretary of State scheming with the chief of Israel's Mossad, an intelligence agency, about how to change the regime in Iran. And if we scroll down a bit, we can find the five-pillar strategy for Iran. Let's see. The U.S. and Israel have different timetables concerning when Iran is likely to acquire nuclear capability. Let's see. Here are the five pillars. 1. Political approach. Dagan praised efforts to bring Iran before the UN Security Council and signaled his agreement with the pursuit of a third sanctions resolution. He acknowledged that pressure on Iran is building up, but said this approach alone will not resolve the crisis. He stressed that the timetable for political action is different than the nuclear project's timetable. Covert measures. This is Pillar 2 of Israel's strategy to effect regime change in Iran. Dagan and the Undersecretary agreed not to discuss this approach in the larger group setting. Counter-proliferation. Dagan underscored the need to prevent know-how and technology from making their way to Iran and said that more can be done in this area. Sanctions. Dagan, that's the head of Mossad, said that the biggest successes had so far been in this area. 3 Iranian banks are on the verge of collapse. The financial sanctions are having a nationwide impact. Iran's regime can no longer just deal with the bankers themselves. And Pillar 5 of the regime change strategy, force regime change. But Dagan said that more should be done to force regime change in Iran, possibly with the support of student democracy movements and ethnic groups, for example, Azeris, Kurds, Baluchs, opposed to the ruling regime. Dagan clarified that the U.S., Israel, and like-minded countries must push on all 5 pillars at the same time. It's a little bit worrying. There's a lot more in this cable. It's a really good one. This is 07TELAVIV2652. On to our next cable, 05NEWDELHI9127 from December 2005, classified confidential. It's from the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi to Secretary of State, Washington. The title here is India's Democracy and Economy Minimize Extremist Recruitment of Juveniles. Here's the summary. India's over 150 million Muslim population is largely unattracted to extremism. India's growing economy, vibrant democracy, and inclusive culture encourage Muslims to seek success and social mobility in the mainstream and reduces alienation. With Indian Muslim youths increasingly comfortable in the mainstream, the pool of potential recruits is shrinking, while Muslim families and communities provide little sanction or support to extremist appeals. This cable is in response to RefTel requesting information on methods used by extremist groups to recruit and train youths under the age of 18. Post notes that India is home to a wide variety of extremist groups, including religious extremists, Hindu, Muslim, and Sikh, ethnic separatists, and extremists from the political left, Naxalites, and right, primarily Hindu fascists, all of whom recruit children. However, RefTel requests information only on Islam extremist groups, etc. So basically, the economy, what they're saying here is economic development, having a job, feeling that you have a say in what's going on politically with your country, with your fellow citizens, your fellow individuals, tends to diminish the appeal of terrorism. Big surprise. Well, then if you want to end terrorism, stop crushing the economy, Mr. Government, and, why don't you just let us all decide our own political futures for ourselves? That should end terrorism right there, as well, of course, as dismantling the empire of bases, military bases all over the country. So that one again was 05 New Delhi 9127. Next up is 09 Madrid 482. It's from May of 2009. It's unclassified, and the topic, it's from the embassy in Madrid to Secretary of State, of course, again. The subject is, let's see, this is about Spain's biotech crop under threat. And furthermore, it says this is an action request. So the embassy in Madrid wants Secretary of State to do something. Summary: Spain's MON 810 corn crop, MON 810, is a Monsanto genetically engineered corn seed. And this is the cable says this is under threat from an emerging, well-coordinated campaign to ban cultivation of genetically engineered seed varieties in Europe, according to industry sources. Probably that means Monsanto. The campaign has gained strength and speed in recent months with the April 14th German ban on MON 810 cultivation, which followed an EU vote supporting maintenance of a ban in Austria and Hungary. Legislation which threatens MON 810 cultivation has also been introduced recently in both the Basque and Catalonian regional parliaments. So there's a lot here about all the successes that grassroots groups and Greenpeace, the government of France, have had in getting genetically modified crops out of their countries. Now, government is not the right way to get rid of something that you don't like, but I am very wary of these genetically modified crops. There has been some information out about how dangerous they could be, and I don't think anybody has really proven that they are safe. So let's get down to the action requested, which is interesting here. In response to recent urgent requests by MARM State Secretary Joseph Puxo and Monsanto, a corporation, Post requests renewed U.S. government support of Spain's science-based agricultural biotechnology position through high-level U.S. government intervention in support of the EFSA findings. Post also requests U.S. government support for a non-U.S. government science fellow to meet with influential Spanish interlocutors on this issue and assistance with developing an agricultural biotechnology action plan for Spain. Post would also welcome any comments from other posts concerning the anti-GMO campaign. So why is the U.S. government so worried about Monsanto's business being threatened by consumers in Europe? Another example of how the U.S. government is working for corporations abroad. It is entirely inappropriate. Okay, so that's it for our cables. Now we're going to cover some recent news. The Guardian reported on Friday that WikiLeaks faces a quote-unquote very aggressive investigation by the U.S. The U.S., who has lost a lot of face here, they have hundreds of thousands of cables, secret diplomatic cables coming out, not to mention the previous leaks, such as the collateral murder video. There has been a lot of face lost, a lot of embarrassment, and according to The Guardian, the U.S. is looking into how they can get Assange and prosecute him. This is given that, as Glenn Greenwald reported last week, Assange has really done less than some of the best investigative reporters in the U.S. have done, such as Woodward and Bernstein. This is not the rule of law. This is the rule of men, and some men are very pissed off at Julian Assange, and they appear to be going on a vendetta against him. And this is not appropriate, and a just legal system should not be abused like this. On to another article from The Guardian from last Thursday. Bradley Manning's health is deteriorating in jail. He is being treated very poorly, some say tortured, in military prison, and it's possible that, as the article reports, they're trying to get him to testify against Assange. Now, I think it would be great if he could get out, because frankly, Bradley Manning, if he indeed has done what he's accused of, he's a hero. Enough said. This is hilarious. This is Rap News 6, WikiLeaks Cablegate. The truth is out there. You can find it on YouTube or thejuicemedia.com perhaps. There's just so much truth in this video, it breaks my heart. This is somebody pretending to be Hillary Clinton. It's rap, it's truth, it's it's just hilarious. And you can find the link on my website, armyourmind.com, after the show is up, which should be in an hour or so. This is really a great video. You're gonna like it, and there's even some mocking of Alex Jones, which is pretty funny. You're definitely gonna want to watch the whole thing and pass it along to your friends. Saturday Night Live. It was very funny. This is supposed to be Julian Assange. This is also funny. You can find this at mediaaite.com, or again on our website at armyourmind.com. Just a refresher, since we have about a minute extra here. Our cables for today are 07TELAVIV2652, about the State Department and Mossad conspiring to destabilize Iran. 05NEWDELHI9127, the embassy in India observing that giving people jobs and a little bit of democracy is a deterrent to terrorism. Big surprise. And 09MADRID482, about the U.S. government effectively being an agent for Monsanto and its GMO seeds in Europe. And I thank you very much for watching today. Again, you can find the recorded versions of this at armyourmind.com or on Facebook at Leak-a-Day, Facebook/Leak-a-Day. And that's our show for today. Have a great one. See you tomorrow.